Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Again, it's time for us to call this regular meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio Board of Trustees for the San Felipe Del Rio CISD to order. Madam Secretary, would you do us the honor of calling roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Chavez?
Present.
Mr. Overfelt?
Here.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mr. Mesa?
Here.
Mr. Galindo?
Present.
Ms. Haynes? And myself. Sir, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Ms. Haynes will not be able to make it tonight, don't believe. Today, again, is Monday, October 16th, 2023. And again, this meeting was duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, duly called and advertised according to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. At this time, we'll have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First item we have on our agenda is recognitions, and item 4A, Fine Arts Dance Company Performance, Ricardo Rios.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, we're going to be featuring our dance company students. They are also a part of the Mighty Ram Band, of which they went and competed this weekend in San Antonio, where they received straight first divisions from all judges. And this group of ladies, again, they're an integral part of making that happen. The band will now be traveling and competing at area contest in Austin this Saturday. And our band made the 2020 state finals, and so we're hoping that this year we will be able to repeat that, again, with the help of these young ladies that really bring a lot of color and excitement to our band shows. I also want to take this opportunity and thank Board Member Galindo, because he made the trip to San Antonio to go support our band students and was there at the stadium cheering on our Mighty Ram Band. So thank you, sir, for being in attendance. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our dance company students. And again, I know we normally have a lot of instrumental playing, but we wanted to feature them as well. Again, they're an integral part of the band, at least for the marching season. And then once we finish that, then they do a lot of community activities and help out in many things around the community. So let's hear another big round of applause for our dance company students. And again, we thank you for all the support that we have for all of our kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Ms. Linda, for being in attendance. Okay, next item we have is a recognition, again, for the National Merit Scholars, commended students. We have Cindy Salas.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Mesa, members of the board. Tonight, we're going to honor these amazing scholars representing Del Rio High School and Early College High School. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an annual competition for high school students planning to attend college, hosted by the National Merit Scholarship through College Board. This organization uses the PSAT exam through College Board to qualify students for these recognitions. College Board is an organization that develops and administers standardized tests like the SAT, AP, and PSAT exams. Students who score exceptionally well on their PSAT as 11th graders become eligible for recognition through the National Merit Scholarship Program and through College Board. College Board National Recognition Award include the National African American Recognition Award, also includes the National Hispanic Recognition Award and the National Rural and Small Town Award. At this time, we have Mr. Barrera, who will present the College Board National Recognition Program awardees from Del Rio High School.
We'll start off with the National Merit Scholarship Program awardees. Axel Cannon. Hunter Quest. Hunter could not be here tonight due to a prior commitment. And now, the College Board National Recognition Program awardees from Del Rio High School. Jesus Arispe. Alejandra Bernal. Josué Buenrostro II. Axel Cannon. Christopher Fernandez. Will Foshi. Juan Garza III. Hector Jimenez. Chloe Juarez. Javier Nuño. Amanda Ong. Rocio Peña. Lisette Rivas. Raúl Torres. Addie Weston. Addie was not able to be here tonight due to a prior commitment as well. These are the Del Rio High School honorees.
Stay up here. Take a picture here.
Now representing Early College High School, Abigail Carrell. Eli Fuentes. Brianna Hernandez. Cameron Nolan. On behalf of administration, all the parents, student body of Del Rio High School, Early College High School, congratulations to our scholars.
Are they centered or how do you want them? Yeah, they're good. We're going to put them on this side, okay?
As always, they represent us so well because they do such a tremendous job in the classroom and elsewhere. And I want to thank all the parents that are here it's a special effort on your part because, again, we recognize all the work that goes on to be able to accomplish this very nice award. So again, thank you, students. Thank you, parents. Congratulations. Next recognition that we have is item C on our agenda.
That covered.
Oh, it was part of that, okay. Do we have any citizens? We have no citizens to be heard. Item 5 on the agenda. We go on to item 8, reports. First report that we have is facilities and construction update. We have Hector Chapa. We lost our audience.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Mesa, board members. Tonight's presentation will include the update on the park at Ceniza Hills, as well as the update on the electrical bus deployment. Currently, the park, the fields are completed, as well as the walking trail and sidewalks. The lighting barely started. They had a late start, and now it's projected to be completed by mid-November. The landscaping is proceeding well. Most of the irrigation system on the park side is completed. The next step would be the seeding. And playground equipment is scheduled to be shipped out on October the 30th. It'll take about 3 days to be here, and they expect to be installed in about a week or so. So our projected completion date is mid-October. The bus deployment, electric bus deployment, materials started to arrive, and I met with the contractor this morning. He's looking at beginning actually installation of the infrastructure beginning in November. He estimates it'll take about 3 to 4 weeks to complete. And once the AAP provides a transformer, we should be fully operational. The charging stations are scheduled to be delivered mid-December. Any questions?
Mr. Orfeld?
Since it's been a while since the grant was awarded, I don't recall the conversation, I'm sure we had it, but are the chargers, are they level 2 or level 3? Level 3 is the super fast 440 volt, and then level 2 is about 220, 240.
I know there's a combination of two. One is the rapid charger and then the normal charger.
Okay,
There's
so there'll
7
be
of the rapid, and the remaining are the normal, which takes several hours.
Okay, how many rapid did you say?
7.
7? Okay, awesome.
Mr. Chapa, I have a question. So we will receive the first batch on February. And
Buses, yes.
the buses, yes. So will there be another occasion for drivers to get accustomed to, or has that already happened?
Mr. President?
Yes.
We had a bus that was here and they got to see it. But no, they won't get accustomed to the buses until they come. I don't think that in drivability there's that much of a difference. There'll be a little training that's required just for the buttons, but how they drive is the same. But I'm sure that Mr. Cabello will have a small orientation for them, and before we do away with the older buses and we put them in circulation. I think that there's no immediate one day to the next to put the old buses out of circulation. So it will give us a little bit of a transition time.
Okay.
But the drivability is the same.
I just want to make sure that whatever instructions are needed to even, if there's a breakdown or something, how they will retrieve the bus back into the garage and so forth, being that it's all electric. I just want to make sure that there's things in place, some training.
So I have a question.
Question, Becky.
And it's partially answered, but, so the use of the buses, the electric buses, will be at a gradual stage? Gradually starting with keeping the old ones and gradually training and using the bus, the electrical?
Well, ma'am, we won't get all of the buses all at once.
No.
In the first batch, if I'm correct, I think we're only getting 2, correct, Mr. Cabello?
2 and 5.
But then after the first deployment, within a month's time, we should receive all.
So we'll have some time to break in the system with the first batch that we get.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Galindo.
I know we mentioned initially that we were going to have training also for the mechanics. Is that going to take place after we get the first batch of buses where the vendor's going to go ahead and send them this way? And I mean, just to make sure that our mechanics are able to, get the training that they need.
Yes, sir. So before the buses arrive, the training for our techs will occur. And it'll be a combination of modules and some online training. And then after they arrive, there will be more training as time goes by. Okay.
Right.
But yes, sir, that is in the works prior to arrival of the buses.
Thank you, Mr. Cabello.
Anyone else? Mr. Cabello, is there another district nearby that received the same grant for buses?
Not in close proximity to us, sir.
Okay.
Several districts applied, many districts applied, but nobody got it in any close proximity.
Okay. All right. There being no other questions, we'll go into the maintenance.
Okay, today's work orders for the month of, the 3 months from July to the end of September, maintenance. They submitted 883, 852 were closed for a 96.5% rate. 16 to 30 days, 143 were submitted, 119 were closed for a rate of 83.2. 31 to 60 days, 135 were submitted, 116 were closed for a rate of 85.9. And for 60 to 90 days, there was 16 submitted, 9 were closed for a rate of 56.3%. Technology, 0 to 15 days submitted, work orders were 3,410 and closed was 3,348 for a rate of 98.2. For 16 to 30 days, 266 were submitted, 214 were closed for a rate of 80.5. 31 to 60 days, 199 were submitted, 134 were closed for a rate of 67.3. And 61 to 90 days, 52 were submitted, 15 were closed for a rate of 28.8. And lastly, transportation, 0 to 15 days, 171 work orders were submitted, and 143 were closed for a rate of 83.6. For 16 to 30 days, 34 work orders were submitted, 22 were closed for a rate of 64.7. 31 to 60 days, 25 were submitted, 21 were closed for a rate of 84. And lastly, 61 to 90 days, 1 work order was submitted and none were closed.
Any questions from board members? Hearing none. Thank you, sir, for the
Thank
report.
you.
Dr. Rios.
Wanted to mention to the board that it's our hope that this month we began transitioning or began the remodeling at our old Cardwell facility to transition SGLC over there. So if we are able to begin the remodeling, it's all going to be done in-house. But if we are able to begin that, we will begin updating the board on the progress of that so that we can make use of that campus.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Go on to the next report in this item 8B, 21st Century ACE After School program presentation, Ida Gomez and Vanessa Martinez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. My name is Vanessa Martinez, and I am the Texas ACE Project Director for San Felipe Del Rio CISD. Tonight's presentation will provide an update on the Texas ACE program that we have running at our campuses. So just as a quick recap, the district received this grant from the Nita M. Lowey 21st Century Community Learning Centers managed by the state of Texas, which we refer to as Texas ACE. We were one of 50 grants awarded in the state of Texas. Now, the grant award period runs from August 1st to July 31st for up to 5 years. Currently, we were awarded $1,818,616. With this money, we are running at 7 sites, which includes 5 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. That also includes a staff of 9 full-time people, which includes 1 coordinator at each campus, a program specialist, and myself, the project director. Now, you may be wondering what an afternoon in the ACE program looks like, because we get that a lot from parents. What are you doing with my child till 6 p.m.? So when the school bell rings, ACE is just getting started. Our program, when the kids get out, when the bell rings, they are provided academic support from our teachers at the campus level. They are also provided opportunities to complete homework and work on computers. We also have enrichment activities scheduled through community partners and through our talented staff, which includes anything from cooking, hip hop, financial literacy, and arts and crafts. During this time, students are also provided a dinner, and all of these services are provided to our students and families at no cost. Now, our academic support that happens for anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half each day, depending on if it's elementary or middle school, includes in-person remediation with a certified teacher. These are conducted in groups of 15 to 1. We are also supporting campus efforts to accumulate hours towards the HB 4545 and 1416 for any students that did not meet state standards on the STAR exam. We are also reinforcing instruction using programs that the district currently implements, such as Summit K-12 and Lexia. Plus, we were bringing in additional high-quality instructional materials that are required by our grant, such as Zern for math and Amplify for reading. Now, on this slide, this is where our district currently sits as far as enrollment as of this morning. Again, we have 5 elementary campuses and 2 middle school campuses. Our elementary campuses, we have some that are almost hitting target enrollment, and these, again, are numbers set by our grant. But we do have some sites that are a little bit lower. So what we have been doing is developing a recruitment plan with our principals and our staff. So part of this recruitment efforts that we are going to be pursuing is initially, we were targeting 4th through 8th grade students that did not approach the STAR standards. That was our first round. So our target was 4th through 8th grade. Now, as we continue through and we've met those students and gotten those parents on board, we're going to extend in elementary school the program to 2nd and 3rd grade as well. Some campuses that have the higher counts have already made that extension, so their counts look better because they are including 2nd and 3rd graders. Now, these 2nd and 3rd graders are usually recommended by the teacher because they may need some additional support in the classroom, so we're providing that support after school. In the middle school, we have spoken with the principals, and they wanted to include an upgrade program, just like they do at high school. So we worked together to develop a plan to include that upgrade opportunity during Texas ACE time. So they will have an opportunity to perhaps bring their grade up if they complete the work that is assigned at the campus level. We do have a team of people that are trying to recruit. Our first and foremost is our site coordinators. They are meeting with parents, staff, and principals trying to see which students they want to target. So that is a lot of phone calls home. We are also utilizing our counselors and our parental aid as much as possible so that we can get the message out of what is available for our students after school. We are also going to recruit our counselors to perhaps meet with small groups in the upper grades to explain the value that comes with them staying after school and the many opportunities they have to improve their academics during the school day. Now, our first goal is to get the students enrolled, but our second goal is to make sure they continue to attend, not only this school year, but as the years progress, because this is a 5-year program. So in order to do that, we need to provide our students some incentives. Not only are they getting the fun activities that they have after school, but we are also going to implement various off-site activities throughout the year. So in elementary, we were thinking periodically maybe taking them out to a skate night or to the bowling alley. We are partnering with our Texas Wildlife and National Park Services so that we can go out to the creek, maybe go fishing, go on a field trip out towards the lake. In our secondary campuses, we are going to coordinate campus trips for different universities from Laredo, San Angelo, and San Antonio. We're also going to be doing bi-weekly, every 2 to 3 weeks, giving them incentives for continuing to come to the program because our program does have attendance requirements. The kids that are attending the required days, we will have fun snacks and activities for them in our Fun Fridays. I wanted to share with you just some pictures that we've captured around our various sites. We do things anywhere from extracurricular, where they are doing certain competitions and playing games that are physical. But we also have educational opportunities where they were learning about how the spine works, how the bones work in the body, and they're using various fun things outside of what you would normally associate, like licorice being the spinal column, with the vertebrae being the marshmallows. We are also giving them various opportunities for arts and crafts. So this would include for the fall with the pumpkins, different puppets, and even in the middle school, they've enjoyed jewelry making. In the middle school, we've also started a culinary club where they meet weekly and they're learning easy-to-do recipes at home. So in this picture, you have students that are learning how to make pizza out of biscuits, things that they may have in their house. We also try to bring in fun math activities for the students, so they are creating and making things in an unusual way that they may not have the opportunity in the classroom. In addition to just fun enrichment activities, we were also trying to build team building because we were surprised how a lot of students don't know how to win or lose gracefully. So we're incorporating different opportunities for them to interact with their peers in a way that is outside of academics, but that teaches them how to play appropriately with each other. The last part of our grant includes our family engagement. Our grant does require that our parents attend up to 11 sessions in the school year. So what our program is doing is we are providing some partnerships with the community and bringing instructional and educational meetings for our parents and our families. So for example, this upcoming month, in October and in the upcoming month, we've had sessions on how to use district and student resources from our PPD site. We are also bringing in a nutritionist from the community to speak about how to eat healthy if you have diabetes. And we also have some local banks coming in to talk about financial budgeting and planning for this upcoming holiday season, so that maybe that can help the parents. But we're also having activities like a fall activity where the parent and the child are going to create something together, whether that be they're decorating a pumpkin, they're painting, so that we can bring the families together. Now, our meetings occur after 5 o'clock, but we are also forming a collaboration with our campuses and our parental liaisons so that if they have meetings during the day, we are promoting those. And it has been successful at Garfield. At the last meeting, we had over 22 parents show up, and 20 of them were ACE parents. So we're really excited about the opportunities that we have to work with our families and to support our campuses to get some of those family engagement sessions out there because they're really good information. So I wanted to thank you for your time and open the floor if you guys have any questions.
Board members, I'll open it. Mr. Galindo.
Thank you, Mr. Mesa. Ms. Martinez, thank you for all you do and your staff, your coordinators. Sounds like a really great program that y'all do have going on. Just looking here at the enrollment, and my only question would be, is there a penalty if we do not reach the enrollment? I mean, looking at some of the numbers, they are low, and I see that there is a plan in place to try to recruit the numbers, but in the event that we did not hit the 100%, do we have a time frame, or is there a penalty after 1 year? How does that work if we do not hit the required mark?
Sure, that's a great question.
At the end of the year, if we don't meet the enrollment, they do evaluate, and then there is budget reductions. If we won't have to give any money back, but at the following year, they'll reduce the budget.
Okay.
But we do also have the opportunity outside of the school year to extend our program to the summer. So that's where we can pick up some additional students based on the summer requirements to hit our goal.
So the summer numbers can also integrate into this. So if you're 20 short and you run that program in the summer, we'd be okay then?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galindo. Ms. Wood.
First of all, Vanessa, thank you so much for everything and for all the coordinators and everything that they're doing. And I'm glad that we're having the families come in and also giving them the opportunity to come in during the day, because not everybody can come after school, because that's when they have all of their kids back home. So that in itself is awesome right there, that the parents are involved. And the creative activities that are happening within the campuses is awesome. And I think that you mentioned upgrade for some of the students that were behind. And I also saw some enrichment activities, which would work with some of the students that are above to encourage them to move forward and go above and beyond. But I have a question. Buena Vista is not included in here. Is there a reason that we don't have any coordinators at Buena Vista or Bobby Barrera? Is it?
The Community ACE program services Ceniza Hills and Buena Vista. We don't have a program at Bobby Barrera, but the other two schools have been serviced. Well, formerly it was North Heights and Buena Vista, and then this current year it's Ceniza Hills and Buena Vista that are being serviced by the community program. So that's why we didn't apply for those programs, because they were already being serviced.
And I guess the next question would be at the middle school. Is that both 7th and 8th grade, or just both of them together?
Correct.
So, so we have 200 and only 87, so we need some work. At the
Yes, and that's where we're
7th
hoping where the
and
upgrade can
8th
come in.
grade.
It's
And-
just, I'm sorry, ma'am,
That's
it's
all right.
just, as kids get a little older, we have to be more creative in how we recruit them, because we're competing with, Pee-wee football and Pee-wee activities and just other activities that they have, because they're older and they don't require as much daycare after school. So we definitely have to get more creative in how we recruit the middle school students.
And are we thinking about something with writing or something else in there to motivate them and encourage them to excel in the writing academics or UIL events, things of that nature?
So we have some limitations in our grant about including UIL in our after-school program, but we do provide flexibility so that if students are in UIL, they go to the UIL practice first, and then they can continue with ACE.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's a lot of good points to the program. Again, the 11 sessions with the parents is wonderful. I hope that the parental conference that we hold, that we started, will give advice to or information to the parents to be aware for the following year. I know that some campuses are they're almost meeting their 100% enrollment, but some are low, is struggling, and perhaps some student ambassadors like we have in the CTE, of course, they have to be a little bit older to be able to go and tell students, in their respective grades, what they're doing and kind of encourage them to join. Anyone else have a question?
No, I just want to thank you, and I think it looks, what everyone is doing here according to the activities, they're very well planned, and you know, I congratulate you on them. The only one thing is that I see a lot of hands-on, but I'm also concerned with just the writing technique. Is there anything where they could practice writing? Because I know with the technology and everything, students don't get to do that anymore, but I think it's important.
Absolutely.
And is there anything there that would incorporate a writing activity?
Yes, so for example, at one of our campuses, they are doing like a spooky story. So for the last few weeks, they have had to plan out what their story is going to be, and then they wrote it out, and then they created a little creature to go with their story. So we are utilizing our teachers and their fabulous ideas as part of our enrichment. So that was one of the fifth grade teachers' ideas. And we're also making sure that we're including some practice with the short and extended response, because that is where we are seeing our students struggle when it comes to taking the test online. So we are providing those opportunities with the teachers and in our enrichment time.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
And again,
Great job.
I want to thank all the coordinators for doing a great job, and best thing ever is transportation is provided after school, so that's great. And then, of course, this is a first year, so it's a 5-year commitment, so I'm sure that every year we'll get a little bit better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next report we have is item 8C, Term 1 Attendance and Discipline Report. Michelle Smith.
Mr. Mesa, we reprinted the attendance report and provided a copy. It's on your, it's in front of your seats. Would you like, because of the corrections, would you like for her to go through the attendance report, sir? And then if there's any questions on the discipline, we can answer it?
I think the only corrections were secondary, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
It's up to you all.
is everyone okay with the report? I looked through it and made some notes. And
Yeah.
after he gave me the corrected version, I still see that there was great improvements throughout the district. I'm glad that we were in the 90s. Blended Academy perhaps is falling behind, but congratulate San Felipe Middle School and Freshman School. When I see in the 90s, I think that's excellent. So again, congratulations to everyone working on attendance, and it looks favorable. Anyone else want to add anything? We thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We go on to consent agenda, item 9. Again, there's some minutes of some meetings that we've had, and any corrections to be made to the minutes, you may look over them, and if there's anything that needs to be corrected, now's the time to do that. Again, one action will approve all items on the consent agenda. In the meantime, Dr. Rios, we have 42 donations. Do we want to post this, or do you want for us to go over it?
We'll post it on the web, sir.
Okay, since we have 42 donations, we'll post these donations, and as always, we're grateful for the individuals and organizations, especially, again, the hairstylists that provided free haircuts for students before the start of the year. So we're grateful to everyone that donated to the district and to different programs throughout the year. And again, we thank you for that effort. So are there any questions in regard to the consent agenda? If there's any item that needs to be, either a question that you might have, or if anything that needs to be pulled out separate before we take a vote?
Question.
Yes. Mr. Oldfield,
On F1,
F1. Consideration to approve a purchase order over $25,000 with Playground Boss in the amount not to exceed $56,187. And the buy board, I guess this is item 679-22. Funding source, committed funds for furnishing and installing playground equipment at San Isa Hills Elementary School. Dr. Rios, want to take the question?
yeah, so the question is, I know we're purchasing to put in new playground equipment, but what happens to the extensive sets that are sitting there at the now unused old Cardwell site? What will we ultimately do with those?
There's a couple plans. The canopies, two of them, we are hoping to be able to repurpose. Unfortunately, the canopy at Calderon has blown off and broken, and our maintenance staff tried to repair it. They were unable to. So now they will try to move one of those canopies over there. The other canopy we would like to place at Lamar. We've bought some playground equipment at Lamar, but it didn't come with a canopy, so we're hoping to use the other one. Some of that playground equipment is damaged. We're considering donating it to the county. They've asked, they said they would be willing to do the extensive repairs on it. We haven't finalized that donation. And then two of the pieces that are there, Mr. Torres believes that we can salvage and repaint and use at campuses where they might need other equipment, but unfortunately, they don't, we can't put that above on the priority list for other projects that they're working on. But eventually, we do hope to use half of them and the other half possibly donate to the county. And the canopies will make use of all of them.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Anyone else? There being no other questions on the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve consent agenda? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda is approved. We go on to administration, item 10. First item we have is consideration to approve the 2023-2024 San Felipe Del Rio CISD Multi-Hazard Emergency Operation Plan. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, I am presenting the updated plan, Emergency Operations Plan for San Felipe Del Rio CISD. We are required annually to review the plan and to provide any updates to the plan. This year's updates include the changes of the schools, update on the number of student enrollment, teacher, also teachers that are on campus, and also the other changes that you're going to see apply to the annexes that are going to be presented in throughout the year that requires us to identify those campuses that are subject to the train derailment, for example, hazmat, and so a lot of these sources of information had to be included in this year's updated plan. So what you're approving tonight is an update to the basic plan. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Mr. Galindo and I were talking a little bit earlier. Is there an MOU with the police department?
The MOU that was presented in the plan last year is the same MOU that carries over, so it is the same exact plan.
Is it included in the emergency?
It will be included and submitted in the actual, you have received a copy in your packet that you had sent home over the last
Yes.
week. Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, we didn't see that MOU from the police department.
Okay, and I can include that. It's actually, we have it separate, a separate document, but it would be included in here. The MOU itself does not change because it's an MOU that has already been signed and agreed upon by both the district and the city of Del Rio.
Just to make you
And
aware,
the sheriff's
we didn't confine.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and the other question, there were two items that were brought up this year at the start. One being hazardous material, railway, and what was the other one?
The other one will be the plan for weather. And so it'll be train derailment, which is part of the hazmat, and also the weather plan that will be included in our in this particular update. Some of those updates are ready. At this time, the Texas School Safety Center is only requiring us to submit the basic plan with the board's approval.
And one other question, I think the next committee meeting is November 2nd.
It is scheduled tentatively for November 2nd, of course, with the board's approval for that particular date that we will resume our fall session. Yes, sir.
And Dr. Rios, I believe there's a summit, safety summit.
We've been invited to a couple of them, Mr. Mesa. Unfortunately, one of them is in Houston and one of them is in Dallas, at least the ones that I was made aware of, and they're only for one day, and it's just a long ways to drive for one. If any other ones are closer, we'll definitely keep them in mind.
So it's not a required.
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Anyone else? Ms. Webb?
Yeah, I just have a question with the MOUs. We have one from the police department. Do we have another MOU with the fire department?
We have an MOU with the sheriff, and the one with the fire department is forthcoming, which will be put together with hazmat, and we're waiting. We actually have put together, we have actually joined a community meeting, joint meeting with the city and the county emergency groups that are actually in the works with that. And so that will be forthcoming, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
that will be forthcoming and placed in the other future plan.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No other questions, so recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the updated San Felipe Del Rio CISD Multi-Hazard Emergency Operations Plan, basic plan as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, Technology and Operations. A, consideration to approve a change order with JP Construction Company Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $36,580. Funding source, Capital Project Series 2020 bond for additional fencing for Ceniza Hills Elementary School. Hector Chapa.
Good evening once again. Recently, towards the end of September, there was a TEA security inspection conducted at the campus. And out of that inspection, there was a recommendation to add additional fencing that would separate the parent drop-off visitor parking area from the bus loop. The goal would be to install fencing that would tie in from Pitaya Lane, the exterior fence, up to the building to basically just allow visitors that area without gaining access to the rest of the campus.
This was part of the audit, Dr. Rios?
It's not part of, okay, so the answer is yes, if they would have gained access. So the way that the audit works is that if you have if you have a certain height fence, then there's other things that you don't have to meet. So they obviously look at everything in there. Now, because all our doors were secured and we have ways of keeping them secured, that's not a requirement. However, he did note that the campus had everything in order, that they passed the inspection with flying colors, but probably because they were greeted by the police officer when he tried to open one of the side doors, because he had already gained access around the building. And when he tried to open it, the security guard approached him and challenged, or police officer challenged him. So he was very thrilled about the response and that everybody at the campus was on their toes. However, he did note that he was able to walk on the side. So if the police officer hadn't escorted him, he would have been able to walk all around the building. So it's a good recommendation. We have money in the budget. It'll definitely make the campus more secure. So we'd like to go forward with that addition.
Anyone else? Here, no questions. Recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve a change order with JP Construction Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $36,580 for the additional fencing for the Ceniza Hills Elementary School.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All those in favor? Motion Vicky, you're
Yes,
voting?
yes,
Motion
I
carries.
vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item, thank you. Item 13, Business and Finance, consideration to approve purchasing department rules for submissions of electronic bids and proposals. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Board Policy CH Local states that if a district chooses to accept bids or proposals through an electronic submission, that the board must adopt rules for the security of the transmission. And we did work with our attorney and proposed a set of rules for you to adopt, and it was included in your board packet.
Question from board members? Amy, is this, there's going to be another item later on the agenda. Is this why we have the name change? Data fellow?
No, sir.
No?
Okay. Separate item.
Just thought I'd ask. There being no questions, then recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed purchasing department rules for submission of electronic bids and proposals as presented.
Heard the recommendation from administration, motion made by Ms. Gonzalez. Is there a second to the motion? Mr. Orfeld, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Human Resources, item 14A, consideration to approve the conversion of Chief Innovation Officer to Chief Compliance and Accountability Officer Ade Garcia.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. As we structure the cabinet, we are recommending tonight to convert the Chief Innovation Officer to Chief Compliance Officer. And later tonight, we'll ask to approve the job description, which you'll see there where the two jobs have been correlated to match the one for the Chief Compliance and Accountability Officer.
Questions
Any
from board
questions?
members? Vicky?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What did you say?
Any questions?
Oh, any questions? No, I'm fine.
Here are no questions, recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion of the Chief Innovative Officer to Chief Compliance and Accountability Officer as presented.
Heard the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item we have is 14B, consideration to approve the conversion of a teacher position to a Dean of Instruction for San Felipe Memorial Middle School, Ade Garcia.
Yes, sir. In your board packet for this weekend, we included the response to this, and what we want to do is model the practice that we have right now at Del Rio Middle School, where we have a Dean of Instruction there for reading and math, and we want to copy that idea to San Felipe Memorial Middle School. And this individual will be assisting with both reading and math.
Dr. Rios?
There's a lot of changes to positions and creations of positions and deletions. The idea is to begin considering what the academic needs are of the district and also prepare for the coming years, whether it be budget reductions or in this case, innovations. So at least temporarily, the work at San Felipe Memorial Middle School for this year and next year becomes a little bit more complex because of trying to launch the a new tech middle school. So providing assistance for the academic planning there is probably, it was already important, but probably more important. It's not a guarantee that we would find somebody to fill a position, but we want to try.
Ms. Will?
I think it's a great idea, but can we incorporate science in there? I mean, we're doing math and reading, But science involves both math and reading. And we all know that our district is always falling behind in science. So can we also include that the deans of instruction at both middle schools, if this is approved tonight, include the science within their reading and their math? Just a thought.
Dr. Rios?
Not that it's all about assessments, but even the new assessments in reading require content. So I think that that's going to happen whether we would want it to or not. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Orfeld, do you have a question?
Yes, sir. I know, Dr. Rios, you talked about, budgeting over the next couple of years as, and seeing where we're going with our changes in staffing, et cetera. I worry about the continued conversion of teaching positions to quote-unquote administrative positions. There's, like you said, we're not sure of funding. If we look at what's going on in the legislature right now, it's free for all, just say that. It's a circus, and that's being nice. The legislature still hasn't funded, it's entirely, they can't figure that out. So I just worry about taking teacher positions and moving those over to admin and starting to get top heavy on that side. Because eventually the state's going to have to make up its mind, and the funding models will come out. Teachers are getting harder and harder to find because they're fed up with the way the state government is treating them, and that trickles on down. So that's just my concern on the two items that have conversion of teacher to something else. I know it's hard to find, and therefore it's easier to convert them. But what if by a miracle the legislature gets its act together and actually funds us the way it should be, and we're able to hire on more teachers and stuff like that? Do these positions cease to exist and we convert them back? That's my worry right now.
That's a very good question, Mr. Orfeld. Dr. Rios?
Yes, sir. Two points. 2 points to that. One, this past year we cut a lot of teaching positions, and most of the focus for these positions was at the secondary level, and I did those myself. I reviewed the master schedule and made the recommendations to HR and the principals. We did not have time to do the same at the elementary level, so we made the best guess possible as to how many students would show up. As we planned and budgeted, there was really about 20 extra positions that we did not need. Doesn't mean that if they would have been there, doesn't mean that we wouldn't have hired them and maybe reduced the class sizes. But there's 20 positions that we budgeted for this year, on top of the 5 positions that we always budget for in case certain needs come up. So we have 25 positions that we really don't have a need for. So when we say converting, we're just converting the existing budget. We're not necessarily eliminating, and should the state provide the adequate funding, given the availability of teachers, we would definitely hire them. The second part, and it's just part of a bigger plan that'll come up, we're going to table it, but we'll still talk a little bit, one of the other items. The bigger plan is on hiring coordinators, for example, the position of the custodial coordinator. There's a bigger plan that we'll get a chance to discuss. There has to be budget reductions, and believe it or not, these positions, by adding positions, I will be able to cut higher paid positions before the next budget is approved. We still have, I think we've already cut $1 million for next year just based on positions that we didn't fill, but we still have a deficit. Where is Ms. Childress? Ms. Childress, I want to say 3.5. Okay, we still have a deficit of 3.5 to overcome. That does not include providing for increased health insurance or increased pay for personnel the following year. So the deficit would probably be closer to 5.5 or even 6 million. We have to spend a whole lot of time between now and next year figuring out two areas that we still have to cut without touching the classrooms, and that is at the director's levels and at the elementary teaching levels. And there's already a whole lot of thought going into what positions we can combine. Due to attrition, I don't want anybody wondering if they're going to lose their job, because I know you all enjoy the drama. It's not about that, okay? But we do have to create opportunities. Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
All right, well, I'll apologize for that. Wasn't talking about the principals. They're the ones that are here. But we do have to cut in those areas. We do have to cut in some of the administrative areas. And this is all part of that plan that hopefully it'll all start coming together.
Okay.
Well, I just want to add to what Mr. Overfeld mentioned is, there's a lot of unknowns, funding formulas, teacher pay, but in the progress, the taper report, which we get at the end of the year, it'll show how many, by percent, administrative positions we have compared to teaching positions. So it'll show up in some report when we convert some of those items, but we still don't know what the 88 legislative session is going to do. We're in a vicious fight with vouchers and everything else in between tied to it, but it is a cause for concern. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Overfeld.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else? If not, we'll go on to, item B, consideration to approve the conversion of a teacher position to Dean of Instruction for San Felipe Memorial Middle School. If there are any further questions, then would you read the recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion of teacher position to Dean of Instruction for San Felipe Memorial Middle School as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mrs. Gonzalez. Is there a second to the motion? Motion made by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, item 14C, consideration to approve the conversion of a teacher position to coordinator, custodial secondary campuses. Aide Garcia.
Yes, sir. Again, this is another position that we're converting for coordinator for custodial secondary campuses. Currently, our custodial coordinator supervises 85 individuals, so it makes it very difficult for him to coach these individuals and provide the support that they need, and at the same time help the principals, so the principals are not taken away from instruction to help the custodians. So we want to break down these into two positions. One would be this one, custodial secondary campus, and then the other one would be elementary. So that would be one person that would be supervising 44 individuals and then 41 to make it more manageable. Any questions on this one?
Board members? No questions. Recommendation?
It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion of a teacher position to coordinator custodial secondary campuses as presented.
For the recommendation from administration, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Becky Chalice. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Item D, consideration to approve the conversion of purchasing coordinator to data fellow, Aide Garcia.
Again, this is a position that we updated you through the board communique, and we are converting the purchasing coordinator, and this individual will now be the data fellow to support the C&I department.
Can I speak a little bit on that, Mr.
Dr. Rios?
Because I know that the update that we provided may or may not do it justice. The purchasing department has a lot of pieces to it, and we wanted to build corporate knowledge so that we would have a way of continuing to do the work when individuals retired. So we hired an individual, and I believe that he has the knowledge necessary to do the job should he have it. But at the same time, I think that we also have enough personnel with Ms. Paula Johnson where she could do the work without any assistance. We have an opportunity because a grant that Ms. Ida Gomez applied for a couple of years ago provided for a data fellow, and that's grant funded. Because of the lack of people out there, we contracted those services. So we're taking the grant money and we're paying a contractor to do the work. We can do two things at once. We can save some local funds by placing the purchasing coordinator in the data fellow position, fill that need, and should we ever have the need back in purchasing, we'll have somebody who's already trained who could train the next person, or they themselves be that person. But right now, we feel like we're comfortable and we can continue to do the job. So you can handle it, correct, Ms. Johnson? Thank you, ma'am.
They're putting you on the spot.
Yeah. So that's why we want to save some money and provide a need to the C&I department. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Hearing none. Recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion of the purchasing coordinator to our data fellow as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Orfeld. Is there a second to the motion? Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I go on to item E, consideration to approve the conversion of a teacher position to director, curriculum and instruction for the curriculum and instruction department. Aide Garcia.
This is an additional conversion that we have from teacher position to director of CNI. And this is as we restructure the CNI department, we're recommending to add a position of a director for curriculum and instruction.
Any questions? No questions from board members? Recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion, a teacher position to director curriculum of instruction for the CNI department as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item F, discussion and possible action to approve employee job descriptions and evaluation forms. Aide Garcia.
Yes, sir. In your packet, you will find the job descriptions that we are recommending tonight. The data fellow, which we just mentioned, it is a conversion. It is a new job description. Then we have the Chief Compliance and Accountability Officer. This is also a conversion. We used to have this position a few years back, so we are bringing it back. We have the Chief Academic Officer, which has been updated to match the restructure of Cabinet. Then we have the Coordinator, Custodial Elementary and Departments. This was a conversion because this used to be the custodial coordinator, so now this individual would oversee just the elementary and the departments. And then we have the custodial coordinator for secondary. This is a new position. And finally, the CNI director as well. And this is a new position, which we used to have in previous years, and we're bringing it back for your approval. Any questions on any of those job descriptions? Yes, sir.
Board members? Yes. Mr. Galindo?
No, you said go.
Earlier, I visited with Mr. Galindo, and I think we might have skipped something on the job description for the,
Dean of Instruction?
no,
Oh.
ma'am, for the chief academic officer.
It was for the director, the supervisory over the federal programs, just to know for sure who she is gonna report to, because it has it under chief academic, and it has it under chief compliance, that they're both under the supervision, just so that way she knows exactly who she would report to.
Yes,
Yeah.
so next time we're gonna bring all, because all of these, once you approve these, then we go and we see who they report to, and then bring those up.
What page was that on? I just wanna look
Or
at it.
which one are you?
I saw one at 193,
193.
and then whenever they're showing the previous one, I think it was on page 184. Yeah. Under 184, under number 50, it says that they would
184?
supervise the program directors for fine arts, PEAMS, technology, CT, federal and state, ACE grant. That's for the first one, and then when you go down into 193, where the chief academic officer, it says in there that they will monitor the FADEN's federal and state programs to include the bilingual department instructional operations through the supervision of the bilingual ESL educational program director and the federal and state programs director. So it sounds like she's reporting to both.
Yeah.
And so who's the one that's gonna be able to help her with that?
Yes, so that one should be under the Chief Accountability Officer, so we'll get that corrected.
Thank you.
Correct, Dr. Rios? That's
Well,
under.
we'll just
the-
strike that, we'll strike the federal and state program director so that we don't have to bring it back. So if it's okay with everybody, on page 193, we'll strike on item 46, the federal and state program director, and that way we don't have to bring it back for approval. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Galindo, for pointing that out.
Let's strike it.
Yes. Anyone else? No other questions? You want to read the recommendation?
It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the employee job descriptions, evaluation forms, and as discussed, with the exception of, on page 93, remove the federal and state program director from the chief academic officer.
Yes. Page 193, yes. You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo. Is there a second to the motion? Motion made by Mr. Overfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
One more item. Under Human Resources, G, consideration to approve the updated 2023-2024 district compensation plans. Jaime Garcia.
Mr. Mesa, I also mentioned this item in the board update. At the moment, I'd like to table the item. I believe there was sufficient questions from board members that it would probably benefit the process if I submitted a couple more updates. But I do want to reiterate that the purpose of this was to realign the pay grades to reflect what we perceive to be the levels of responsibility within the district. It would involve, at the end of the day, adding a pay grade so that it would be obviously the superintendent, the cabinet, high school principals, elementary principals, directors, and then assistant principals. Our current pay plan doesn't reflect that. And I believe that's one of the reasons why we see some variations when TASB does a salary audit in terms of individuals that are out of market. I want to also make it clear, this doesn't mean that anybody's going to get a pay reduction. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that we need to build a plan for the future. And I would just like the opportunity to share a couple more updates and answer a few more board questions before we go forward, sir.
We have a lot of questions. And I just want to.
Oh, yeah.
I want to settle the dust because I know there's a lot of phone calls going everywhere to board members and beyond. But anyone that sits as a director currently will not be affected at all, correct?
Correct.
This is for future vacancies that might exist by retirements, resignations, people that move. And so that would be restructured at the end of the existing director's current term. Sort of, correct?
You're pretty close.
No one will be affected, no, the pay will not be reduced to the current directors, correct?
Pay will not be reduced to the recommended pay grade. Yes, sir, correct.
Okay, everyone will get a raise who, as the director, because they're asking like, is it gonna be frozen from now on? The answer that I'm giving them is no. Dr. Rios?
The pay will not be frozen, but I want to make it clear that if you are a director currently at a pay grade 6, and you become a director at a pay grade 5 with a new pay plan, and you're currently making $120,000 a year, you will continue to make $120,000 a year, except that your raise will be at the midpoint for the pay grade to which you are assigned, and not the pay grade you were at before. But you don't lose pay.
Okay, we're tabling this item because we have a lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
So, please, directors, rest. Don't get too worried about this. There's a lot of discussion that needs to be held, and we will be doing that before we bring this item back up to.
I do need to say this, Mr. Mesa, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but we're in a situation where, like I said, we have $3.5 million currently in deficit. We have a pay increase to consider for the summer, and increased insurance costs. And I think that everybody needs to be mindful of the fact that we all get a decent salary from the district, and we get our health benefits. But we can't do that forever. And we need to do everything we can, because earlier I also mentioned that there would be combined positions. And I just need to say this as a superintendent. We don't need to be creating drama with board members until we see the whole packet, because there is a delicate state that we're in the state for funding. So be mindful of the fact that we do have to come up with a plan, and it has to be sound, because at the end of the day, the goal of the team of 8 is to continue to provide a pay increase and pay as much of the health benefits as possible, and hopefully all in the coming years. But it's a big job. And when anybody who is making a decent salary is worried about what's going to happen next year, that just slows down the process. And we cannot come to June of next year and worry about what the budget is going to look like. So if you work in the district, I ask you to be mindful of that, because there is a huge task ahead, worse than it's ever been. And I think we can solve it, and it could be beneficial to everybody, but distractions limit that progress.
And I just want to say that there's a third session of the legislative session. More than likely, there'll be a fourth one, and we still have a lot of unknowns. We don't have any funding formula changes. We don't have any teacher pay raises, but I suspect that it will happen, and it might be a compromise between teacher salaries and vouchers or whatever, or family savings account, but there will continue to be sessions if it's not done during the third legislative session. So we're still in the unknowns. And with that, I'll say the time is 7:24 p.m.
We got to vote to table it.
Oh, we got to vote to table. We're going to vote to table this item, which I'm sure that everyone agrees to. Correct?
Motion.
Absolutely. Table.
Motion to table,
Second.
Ms. Schoenfeld. Vicky Chavez made the second. All those in favor? The item is tabled. This is item G, consideration to approve the updated 2024 district compensation plans. Now, we will go into closed session. The time is 7:25 p.m. We're going to close session pursuant to policy 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Any action that is required will be taken upon reconvening into open session. We're now in executive session. Okay, the time is 8:27 p.m. We're going to reconvene into open session. No action was taken in executive. We're down to item 18 on the agenda. Discussion and possible action of personnel report. Ade Garcia.
Good evening again. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resignation, vacancies, and following new personnel. Jean Marie Poole, second grade teacher at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. Jorge Cienega, PE teacher and MAPS at Blended Academy. Cynthia K. Diaz, pre-kindergarten teacher at Irene Cardwell Elementary. And Alejo Alviso, CTE construction teacher at CTE Del Rio High School.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, discussion and possible action for the salary adjustments to include but not limited to the following. Ade Garcia, service credit, salary matrix adjustment. Ade Garcia.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the salary adjustment as discussed in closed session.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mrs. Gonzalez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
There being no other item on the agenda, is there a motion for adjournment? Motion made by Ms. Rothfeld, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.